Welcome back to another fantasy fight. This time, Evander, the real deal Holyfield, facing off against Vitali Klitschko. Both were heavyweight champions. Holyfield was one of the most dominating fighters of his era, fighting Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson and Riddick Bowe. Classic fights. Vitali, on the other hand, pretty much fought in obscurity, fighting out of the Ukraine. He was not as famous as his brother Vladimir, but he might have been a better fighter. He stood 6'7", 245, where Evander only stood 6'2", 210. So there's going to be quite a contrast in size. Vitali only lost 2 fights during his career, to Chris Byrd and Lennox Lewis. He was ahead in both fights when they were stopped. He had a shoulder problem. And the fight against Chris Byrd was stopped late in the fight. And as I said, he was well ahead on points. Lennox Lewis, he was ahead, but he suffered just a tremendous cut, and the fight had to be stopped. So this is going to be a great matchup. We're going to take a look at the Evander Holyfield-Riddick Bowe fight and get a feel for Evander at his best. And I think he was at his peak during this time. I don't know that this was necessarily his smartest fight. Why you would fight somebody 6'4", 240, 250 pounds toe-to-toe when you're only 6'2", 210, 212. But that's what Evander decided to do in this fight. He was faster, quicker, better boxer. I think he could have kept his distance and done much better. But as you can see from the action here, that was not his strategy. He was going right at Riddick, trying to get him out of there. And you can say what you want to about Riddick Bowe. He could take a punch in his prime before his decline. And he was very physical, could fight inside, had reach. So this is Evander fighting Riddick, who he gave up a lot of size to, but you can see he held his own. Now, against a man like Vitali Klitschko, he's going to be giving up 2 to 3 more inches and a lot of reach. And Vitali was not going to fight at close quarters. He was going to fight from as far away as possible with that long reach and have that hand hovering down by his waist. So you can see Evander can definitely mix it up. He's a fighting machine. Pound for pound, a great fighter. Next up, we're going to look at the Mike Tyson-Evander Holyfield fight, which was one of the great fights of the 1990s. Anytime Mike Tyson was involved in a fight, it captured the American public. Evander Holyfield had lost 2 of 3 fights with Riddick Bowe, and Mike Tyson had lost to Buster Douglas in 1990. But a lot of people viewed that as just him having an off night. Evander Holyfield's going to capture the title from Buster Douglas, and then he's going to lose it to Riddick Bowe. And eventually he's going to lose it after he recaptures the title. He's going to lose it to Michael Moore. But regardless, this was one of the, if not the biggest fight of the 1990s. Evander was a big underdog. Most people felt like that he wouldn't be able to take the punches that Mike Tyson delivers. So it was viewed as an enormous upset as you watch this footage here when he captures the fight. And eventually, as you're watching here, the fight is stopped, and Mike Tyson invincibility is somewhat questioned from this point on. And Holyfield becomes a legend with his heart of a champion that he displayed in this fight, as well as the Riddick Bowe fights. Now we're going to take a look at Vitali Klitschko against Corey Sanders when he won the heavyweight title in 2004. Corey Sanders had knocked out his brother, Vladimir Klitschko, in the second round and had the WBO title as he goes against Vitali. They're fighting for the Ring Magazine recognition as the heavyweight champion of the world, which was in somewhat of a disarray following Lennox Lewis's retirement. As you watch this fight, notice how unorthodox Vitali is, but effective. He's 6'7", 245, a long reach. He's hard to hit. He leans back all the time, avoiding punches. The next fight we're going to look at is Vitali Klitschko against Lennox Lewis in 2003. Lennox Lewis was probably the most dominant fighter of the 1990s and was the last heavyweight to retire with the title. He didn't lose it in the ring. This fight, as I said, took place in 2003. Vitali was a late replacement in the fight, was not given a whole lot of credit, although he'd only lost one fight in his life, and that was to Chris Bird on a fluke injury that he had. And as you can see, Vitali is more than holding his own. He's punishing the heavyweight champion, Lennox Lewis. His jab is effective. He leans back. He's hard to hit. He was a tough man to beat, no question. As always in these fantasy fights, we're going to go to the comparison chart. This one's not real decisive. It's pretty even. Hand speed goes to Holyfield. Boxing ability goes to Holyfield. KO power goes to Klitschko. Chin, Vitali. Klitschko never touched the canvas in his career. Of course, he never fought Bowe, Mike Tyson. He did fight Lennox Lewis. Holyfield fought a much stronger group of fighters during his career, and he had a strong chin as well. But I'm going to give the advantage to Klitschko. Size, obviously Klitschko. Defense, probably the biggest factor in this fight was Klitschko's defense. Leaning back, hard to hit, very elusive, and extremely unorthodox. Endurance, Holyfield is one of the best conditioned fighters in history. Adaptability, we're going to go with no advantage in that category. As we move on, foot speed to our next chart here. Holyfield has the advantage in foot speed. As I said, he was always on balance. Could take you out with either hand. Strength, Klitschko. Jab, Klitschko. Big deciding factor in this fight, I think, is the Klitschko jab, his ability to hit from long range. Cuts goes to Holyfield. Klitschko lost 2 fights in his career. One of them was to Lennox Lewis on cuts. Reach and body attack, no advantage. Klitschko has the advantage in the fight, 6'5", 3. I don't think that's going to be a real critical factor. Before I give my decision, I want to thank you for watching. Please hit the like button, and hopefully you'll subscribe. We're going to have more fantasy fights. And be sure and put down your comments on who you think would win between Evander and Vitali. Interesting enough, these two fighters could have actually met in the ring. In the early 2000s, Holyfield was still fighting well beyond his prime, but he was still in the ring, and Vitali was just starting his career. They could have easily met in the ring, but it would not have been a good match because Holyfield was well up in age. In this fight, I think the deciding factor, although Holyfield fought a much tougher fighters throughout his career and had a more impressive record, I'm going to have to go with Vitali in this fight because of his defense and reach. He was hard to hit. You say, well, Bowe was 6'5", and Holyfield got to him and beat him. That's true. But Bowe fought a lot on the inside, the interior. Holyfield had a lot harder time against Lennox Lewis because Lennox kept him at range. Add 2 more inches, and I think Vitali would do the same thing. I think his jab and defense would be the deciding factor. 12-round decision. Nobody hits the canvas. I just see a great fight. But I have to go with Vitali in the decision. Thanks for watching.